Travis Wingoodsall. There's really nothing in the church news. They just moved things around, demoted the Relief Society, and moved Gong up to the pole position. And if you think that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true, then you've never bothered to study your own church. You've just accepted what everybody tells you to believe, and you're a gullible sucker. I've got some stuff that I want to sell you. If you just send me your money, I promise I'll get it to you. So you won't believe me, but that's what the church is doing to you. Because Elder Gong spreads hope in flood-devastated Porto Alegre, Brazil. Is that what they need? Hope? Or do they need their lives back? Flood devastated means their homes are gone. They have no food. They have no way to make food or clothing or have a job, because that's likely gone too. They are now homeless, and the whole place is flood devastated. But Elder Gong to the rescue, hope! See, growing up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it was well known and established that before you can give spiritual sustenance, security, you first got to make sure they're physically secure. Physical has to come first. Then you can work on the spiritual. Because if you work on the spiritual and you don't have the physical, you die. And this is actually a good business model for religions, since they practice priestcraft. Because what good does it do to be a religious preacher and not take care of your flock's physical needs so that they can go to church and pay you the money? If the church wants more Mormons to pay more in tithing, then they can't threaten Mormons to get a better job. They've got to provide the better job. See, since Reagan's trickle-down economy, businesses don't know how to make money anymore. They just panhandle to the government, who give it to them. That's all they are, beggars. Everybody's a beggar these days. Politicians are all begging for money. Corporations are begging the government for money. At least they bribe the government first before getting the favor, though. But still, I mean, seriously, are Mormons this stupid that they fall for this? The church hoards money, in case you hadn't heard. And so if you see news about the church giving 1 million, or I don't really see billions, it's always in the millions. But still, they hoard, which means a million is petty change. It's nothing. They've already made it back in interest in the time it took me to speak this. Because that's how much money they've got that's earning interest. And yet, despite this, you've seen since last year's failure into this year's failure, the church has been trying to hoard more and more money, going to all different sources to get as much money as they can. And yet, they go around and give hope to those whose lives are destroyed. And so here's another one for you. Elder Bednar turns the hearts of California saints to the temple. Are you that stupid and naive? Are you falling for this? Are you getting angry with me? Am I the one to blame? Am I the apostate, anti-Mormon, antichrist Korahor picking on your religious freedom? If you never read section 119, prostitution. Video that I had just in case there was no church news. And so yeah, I already did the one on the Relief Society. They improve health and well-being of women and children. The Relief Society doesn't sign checks. And so you see how they're improving health and well-being from the picture. Hugging. Women and children in third world countries and are getting hugs from the Relief Society presidency. Oh, that fixes all our problems. Thank you, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I feel good now. The church is true because I have hope. There was somebody who sent me a link that's being passed around on Facebook about a settlement from the church of Mormons who have been sexually abused as children by leaders of the church, bishops primarily. So this is a branch off from the excommunicated bishop who simply asked the church if bishops could have a standard question list for children, as they do for adults, because too many bishops were getting sexual in their questioning of little kids. And so the Protect LDS Children movement began, and it just slammed the church. And so the church caved, or appeared to cave, and did come out with a list of questions, and of course it's missing the underwear and child support, which, please don't hate me, I'm the cause of that one. not really me, it was actually the ex who lied in a letter to the first presidency. Because my money was automatically being taken out. All of a sudden, in January of 1998, I think, it was just, all of a sudden, I get a divorce papers in the mail. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm divorced? When did this happen? Oh, on her birthday. Because apparently in Canada, I'm not needed. It could have been 1999. Well, so this is tricky because I think it was 1998 when the sealing got canceled. So it would have had to have been, wow, yeah, she did it under a year. Wow. She really screwed me over. But, yeah, she complained, and then next thing I hear from church is that the new temple recommends were requiring spouses who owe child support to make sure you pay or you don't get a temple recommend. Sorry. Blame her. And so, yeah, what goes on in the temple? We'll start with that one. When you read over section 119, it's not just for the building of the temple, it's to pay to get into the temple. When you are baptized a member, boom, you have to pay tithing. You cannot participate in church. You cannot participate in temple rituals. You must be paid, fully paid. Nelson tried to trick you last year, but didn't change the temple recommend questions. You still have to be fully paid to be a participant. And so, it therefore means that you're being extorted to be Mormon. You have to pay. You turn 8 years old. Sorry, we're taking out 10% of your allowance of $1 to give to the church. Oh, your lemonade stand? 10%. What other jobs did I have? I did try a lemonade stand, but my sister complained and Mom took it over, and so I went back inside. I also had, it was because of the jelly bean count. I had bought a whole bunch of jelly beans and had people, when they come to buy lemonade, guess how many jelly beans were in the thing. And my sister said that I was rigging it so that nobody would win and therefore I would get them. And then, yeah, my mom shut it all down, so I went back inside. My dad re-roofed our Placentia home and gave us a penny for each nail that we would find on the lawn, because he would toss them all out into the backyard. And so then we would have to pick up all the nails, because you don't want to be mowing the grass and nails flying everywhere with the lawnmower. And so, yeah, we got a penny per nail. Then the allowance for me was specially structured, as it required me to get paid for each chore I did. And so each chore was listed with the amount that I would get paid when I do it. And it got to the point where I was doing too many chores and my dad was unable to pay me. He never did pay me. I illegally sold candy bars and soda pop at church volleyball games. I didn't know. I don't have the bishop's handbook of instructions. I just did it on my own, trying to have a job to make money. And so I did that for a little bit of time, until I was told that I couldn't, and they allowed me to do it that one final time. Yeah, way to go, Mom, ruining it for me again. And then went to work for my dad when he was, he got the business built there at San Diego's Temple Square. He had an office where he was teaching people how to use computers, and then was sabotaged on my mission by an employee who claimed that she had clients and he had spent the money for the manuals and the computers, and nobody showed. Yeah, she sabotaged his business. He had to sell it to a Japanese firm. And then they were wondering where to move to, and it involves Elder Irene, back when he was 70, in which he came out there to look for land for a temple, and was at a banquet where my mom sat right next to him. And so my mom, looking for a new place to live, wanting a temple nearby, asked him if he was planning on building a temple down there in Southern California, because she wanted to move and be near the temple. He then replied to her, "There are third world country saints who have to walk 5 days uphill in the snow both ways, selling their final chicken just to get to the temple for their own endowments." And so my mom was saying inside her head, so no, the answer is no. Then that conference, they announced the Bountiful Temple just down the block from Elder Irene. And what else did I do as a child? And so, yeah, I worked for him. It was actually not at that place. It was the IBM compatible company, Osborne, where he had me file documents in the filing cabinets and putting them in alphabetical order. That's right. Then I remember high school. Well, there was the grade school where we would run, and if we ran so many miles, then people would have to pay us so much money, and I didn't feel good about asking people to do that, so it was pretty much my parents. And then there was the chocolates, which weren't the best quality, but they put us into slave labor, the school did, to go around selling chocolates and the newspaper subscriptions. They had us doing that too. Child labor in the Southern California school system. And so I guess in high school, I worked for Rusty's Pizza, which changed to Ruzzo's Pizza. I don't know if it's still there or if something else replaced it. I was a pizza deliverer until the rollover, and then I was benched to serve beer as a kid. And, oh, I need to ask the customers for their ID, huh? And what's a silver bullet? I'm familiar with the commercials. And dear God, I got these old drunk women flirting with me. Don't you want to see my ID, kid? I want my mommy. And I worked for my basketball coach at Allied Van Lines, delivering claim forms all around the valley to the new subdivisions of people who moved into a new home, just in case there was something broken in the move. They could fill it out and send it in. And then I thought I had a third job. I did do a free volunteer thing, thanks to my mom, of being a security guard for a church's museum exhibit that they were doing over the weekend. So for 2 nights, I was the security guard with Ryan Shumway. I understand he married Ferris. What was her first name? Can't remember. But her father was excommunicated, and my dad was assigned as his home teacher, as the high priest, to try to fellowship him back into the church, since he had a daughter that was going to church. Yeah. So, yeah, those were the kinds of jobs that I was doing because I'm paying tithing. Child slave labor, being paid to the church because of Section 119. And so priestcraft is in Section 19, that extortion and protection racket, because we're all told that tithing is fire insurance to protect us from the day that shall burn as an oven. Mormons cannot get angry with me for this. They all know it. It's told all over the church. As the prophets get up in conference and tell us, you've got to obey and pay to be protected in the latter days. And what protection? Hope. It's worse than insurance, or a return on your insurance when you call in a claim. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't pay enough insurance to be covered for that issue. Yeah, and because you have to pay, and because the church says no sex touchy until you're married, and then you have to pay for sex in marriage, because no sex touchy out of marriage. Everybody knows this. This isn't a surprise. Remember the Protect LDS Children. We all know the sexual abuse. Well, that's prostitution. How does that feel, women? You're a prostitute for the church. Is your husband an 8-cow prostitute payer? What is the guy called who pays for prostitution? Because the pimp is the church leaders who demand that you collect the prostitution price for them. And the prostitutes are the Mormon women. What is a man called who pays for prostitution? Prostitution is only used for selling sex. Client? Here we go. Client. Clients of prostitutes or sex workers are sometimes known as Johns or Tricks. In North America. And punters in Britain and Ireland. Client. Okay, so I've heard of John before, and I'm the one, me, only me. If you've heard it from someone else, they stole it from me. Trick cereal. And the cartoon rabbit. Sorry, kids. Tricks are for prostitutes. mine. It was back when I was a kid watching those commercials. All credit must be given to me. It's very complicated for me to create my own jokes. So give me the credit for this one. Dear God. And so, yeah, the Book of Mormon preaches against this. Right? You're a Mormon, right? You've read the Book of Mormon, right? You know it preaches against priestcraft, against prostitution, against extortion, and a protection racket, right? And yet, what do? Section 119. Oh no, which one's true? Book of Mormon, the keystone, or Section 119 that somehow claims to be by Joseph Smith in 1838? Oh no, which is true? Are they both true, but Section 119's true for now, and the Book of Mormon's not true for now, until Jesus changes his mind again? You know, like he did with racism. I mean, blacks holding the priesthood. Really? You're going to be fooled on that one, are you? Right, Kwaku? You're going to be fooled on that one? And so, yeah, there's just like a whole list here. And this isn't a complete list. This is just what I came to the top of my head, and it filled up the post-it note. And so, yeah, the church claims to love other people, and yet, unless, then you can hate and use violence against them. And that's supposedly love. Punishing people because you love them. And that's kind of an abusive twist of chastening those whom you love. Well, chasten is part of chastise and chastity. Hate and violence is not love. Every Mormon should know that. And yet, how am I being treated by Mormons? Are you loving me? Well, you! No, are you loving me? What is your proper response when I tell you the Book of Mormon tells you to do something and you don't do it and make an excuse? The name of the Christ. You didn't know that there's an actual name for your Christ as a Mormon, and it's not Jesus? Interesting. But it's in the Book of Mormon. It's by Joseph. Is it? Is it? You never bothered to study. The name of the church. That one's a little trickier. We only have the first name of the Church of Christ. And so whenever you see in Wikipedia and online that Joseph Smith founded the what name of what church? Oops. And so what religion are we supposed to be? I recommend referring to your Book of Mormon. You know, the keystone. Are you offended that I'm being harsh and mean, picking on your religious freedom? Well, what religion are you supposed to be? Give you a hint, it's not Christian. 1 Nephi, chapter 1, Verse 2. Jewish. Pre-Babylonian captivity Egyptian. That religion. Big difference. It is not Christian. Nothing is Christian about it. But Jesus! No, Jesus existed before the creation of Christianity. Not the person, the name. That's the tithing. Are you supposed to save the United States of America and the Constitution from an enemy? Or are you supposed to give aid and comfort to the enemy and assist them in overthrowing our government and Constitution? Oh no, which one do we choose? Because the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith told you to save the Constitution and the United States of America from enemies who would try to destroy it. And who are you voting for this election? Who was involved in the coup? Who thinks the Constitution needs to be changed to conform and comply to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' standards and values? Who's the enemy? And so, following on that, do you give other people agency, or do you take it away from them? What is agency? Well, it's rights to life, liberty, and property. Hey, that's in the Constitution. So, religious freedom, is it giving agency or taking it away? What have you done to Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon's religious freedom? And then president's keys. What's the keys of the president of the church? And oops, you're wrong. It's not Peter, James, and John, or at least for Joseph Smith. For Nelson, yeah, it's Peter, James, and John. That's as high as his keys go as the president of this church. And so, do you even know where to go to find out what Joseph Smith's keys were for being president of the church? No, you don't know. You don't follow my channel. Getting closer to 3.9K videos. All these years. But you would never know because YouTube finally granted you viewing this video. Isn't that amazing? YouTube giving me one view for my religious freedom. Oh, nice. Section 107, verse 91. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. In case you didn't know, the religion of the Jews says that the Christ of the religion of the Jews, pre-Babylonian captivity Egyptians, is a man like Moses, the Christ. And here Joseph Smith is saying that the keys of the president of the church is that of the Christ. The president of the church is supposed to be the Christ for Mormons. Huh. And what keys again does Nelson claim? Oh, missionary work. That's as high as he goes. But at least it's higher than the Pope's. Pope is just a bishop. That's all it is. He's the bishop of bishops, the head bishop. And that's why they have archbishops or archbishops, however you want to pronounce it. Yep, that's all. And so, yeah, after Constantine created Christianity, they went back and revised history to claim that the Bishop Linus of Rome is technically the first pope after the death of Peter. Peter didn't exist. The Jewish author was using Peter as the name of Simeon to illustrate, depending on the story told, of being the usurper or the seer. Because Egyptian, PTR, is seer, the two eyes of the Egyptian Christ. And so then, how does succession occur? Well, Brigham Young, who had the keys of missionary work, says, well, the president of the keys of missionary work succeeds to be the president of the church to hold the keys of missionary work. And you all fell for that, did you? That's as high as their authority goes. So, wow, they don't have authority for the temple in the first place. And they're stealing your money for it and threatening you to pay? Huh. When all they have authority for is telling the truth about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith as Jewish, pre-Babylonian captivity Egyptian. And they're not. They're still lying, are they? And then finally, because I ran out of space, because there's more, but is it monogamy or polygamy? Again, Joseph Smith is being blamed for polygamy, changing. There's some confusion. As you've watched my videos, you know that there's confusion over this. A lot of Expo Nevermos get it wrong because they don't know how to study. Somebody wrote in their journal that they were forced to sign an affidavit that Joseph Smith raped her as a little girl, and they believe her. And blame Joseph instead of the actual rapist, either Brigham Young or one of his Danites. And she was threatened to blame it on Joseph or die. Because, yeah, that's another thing. You know, it has to do with agency and religious freedom. But the church punishes, even unto death, blood atonement. So yeah, like I said, there are a whole bunch more that are just night and day difference from Joseph Smith. Are you going to be fooled? Or are you going to infiltrate the church and try to make change from within? That was intended to be the title. It's just not really working. Infiltrating Mormonism. And so, yeah, if you're in the church and not obeying, you're an infiltrator. So it didn't really work out that well. This was actually a different video. So, anyway, yeah, you're not allowed to ask questions because you have to go talk to your stake president for disciplinary action. You just got to trust in the Lord. Have faith, get the right feeling. Yeah. And so, this was from, yeah, I took the test to see if I qualified for sexual abuse from that link, And this was the response after I filled it out. Thank you, Travis. Based on the responses, you don't qualify for this legal action. If you believe this is an error, please contact us. Check to see if you qualify for these offers. Find out in as little as 30 seconds. And $10.9 billion for Roundup lawsuits. And they're still using Roundup here in Utah. What the hell? And car accident lawsuits. One call, that's all. Once I get out of jail and pay my fine for being drunk while driving. I noticed he's got billboards back up again.